Tell us about these models.
Yeah, so Shery, these models look just at the economy and how President Trump would do if the economy remains strong. And what they've done and what they've historically done, these models, is they compare what would happen if the economy in a strong sense would continue at Election Day 1 year from now. And given that, it shows that President Trump would decidedly win based on the fact that the economic growth remains strong, unemployment is at historically low levels, and that also inflation has remained in check, even with economic growth. And even with the trade tariffs that we're seeing and manufacturing being affected, consumers have hung on to their spending patterns. So two of these models by Oxford Economics and Moody Analytics have historically been pretty accurate. They basically have predicted many of the popular votes. They've been wrong a little bit of the time, but based on this, they show that President Trump would win. Now, of course, there's some other kinds of things that could happen, and yet President Trump does not have an opponent. So, of course, it's going on strictly economics against, how he would do with this economy.
Are there any flaws that we should be aware of?
Yeah, well, first of all, it only measures that. So the fact that there could be scandals, we obviously have this impeachment inquiry, things could happen on the world stage. So they're saying if these economic models hold true, then he would win. So there's other kinds of things. And also, he has to be given the credit for that economic growth. That's the other thing. So that if voters go to the polls thinking, well, the economy's strong, but I'm worried about what could happen with the economy going forward, for instance, the trade war, and he doesn't get the credit for it, that, of course, does not help him at the ballot box.
Jodi, what about the impeachment? How does that potentially play into the re-election campaign?
Yeah, Heidi, it basically cuts both ways at this point. We've seen polls, including one from NBC, Wall Street Journal, and another from Fox, showing that 49% of voters in these surveys, in these polls, support impeachment and support the removal of President Trump from office. However, that is largely Democrats. One poll showed that 90% of Republicans don't support that. And there could be some blowback to Democrats as a result of this. Obviously, this impeachment inquiry, which at this point is not a vote on impeachment, it's an inquiry, although it may very well lead to that. They really are, at this point, politicizing things and dividing the parties. That was one of the reasons that Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker, and other key Democrats were actually reluctant to go with impeachment, worried about possible effects it could have on Democrats. So it could cut both ways in the 2020 election.